one of my favorite people, and you're really scrappy, and I like that.
Oh, thanks,
I
James.
like scrappy journalists. You kind of made your own weather. I love that.
Oh, that means a lot to me. Oh, thank you
Well,
so much. Welcome to the Tara Palmeri Show. As you can hear, I sat down with the legendary Democratic strategist James Carville, the Ragin Cajun. And for once, he wasn't raging. He was optimistic. You heard him. He paid me a really nice compliment. He said I make my own weather, which means so much to me as I have created this community that we're all a part of. The Tara Palmeri Show, the Red Letter, based on investigative journalism, holding truth to power. And I've loved seeing it grow. And it's all thanks to you and your support. But I had James back on the show because I've been talking to him for a while, since even before the Democrats lost the election in 2024. And he would say, they're in the wilderness. They need to get some big wins. Like he was like, the party needs to win. That's what he kept saying over and over again. But now he's saying that the party has finally found its groove. He thinks they're winning the shutdown messaging war and that Trump will inevitably cave on the Obamacare subsidies. And he thinks there's real momentum heading into the special elections in Virginia. Those elections are in a month from now. But that's right. James Carville, the guy famous for tough love, it's the economy, stupid, and sharp elbows, is downright chipper about the Democrats. He told me there are actual stars in the party again. He said he hadn't seen stars in the party since 2012. And now there's wind at their back. He names a number of people that he thinks could lead the party. And of course, this is Carville. He's not pulling his punches. He's got some words for Kamala Harris, fresh off her book tour or revenge tour, depending on who you ask. And for David Hogg, the young activist he once sparred with on this show. The last debate ended in a sort of truce or a reconciliation, but this time, not so much. But what I love about this conversation is that it shows a different side of Carville. Still sharp, still funny, but finally seeing a Democratic Party that he actually believes in. Take it all in. James Carville, still the master strategist, but now a hopeful one. James, thank you so much for joining the show. It's a pleasure. You always make so much news. The last time we were together, we had the debate with David Hogg. But this time, we're back and the Democrats are in the middle of a shutdown, and you've always found a way to turn dysfunction into opportunity. And I'm wondering, how do you think the Democrats are handling the shutdown?
Actually pretty good. I mean,
really?
I don't know how you can have a better hand than they have where 46-30 people blame the Republicans and 72% want the subsidies extended. So they have a pretty good, they got a pretty good hand and they plan it pretty good for now. And I don't think they're going to lose this.
Yeah, Trump's already talking about the subsidies himself. So he seems to be caving on his end.
So what I think really happened, he didn't, when they went in, what Senator Schumer said, he had no idea what they'd done to Medicaid or Medicare or anything like that. When they told him, he was kind of astonished. And I heard him doing an interview, said, well, he's negotiating with the Democrats and it's going to be something terrific on health care. And then, of course, he backed off of that. I don't think, honestly, I don't think they tell him anything.
Yeah.
I don't think he has any idea.
He doesn't care about the details, James.
Well,
he never has.
When they told him that all this is going to start expiring here in a certain time frame, he was kind of astonished. I mean, when somebody was getting a subsidy one day and they don't get it the next, they're going to notice. Or somebody's getting a payment and they don't get it, they're going to notice. And he didn't. My understanding is he didn't even understand that much.
And those are his people.
Now he kind of understands it, and so probably the deal they're working on is they'll get a vote on the extend the Obamacare subsidies.
So it's a win finally for Schumer.
Well, I think that he's got 3 people in his caucus that have already gone, so he's got a hole. He can't lose a lot more.
Right.
He's got a little bit of a tough go here. I mean, you got to express it, but I think he'll hold them together.
Yeah, I think Angus King, who's the independent from Maine, said he's no longer going to vote with Republicans anymore. He's over it. He's not voting for the clean continuing resolution that they put forward. So it's only two now.
Right. I've had him on my podcast. He's not much of a Trump guy.
Yeah, right.
He's kind of honest about it. I don't know. Yeah, I think he'll. I think they understand that they're in a pretty good spot right now.
Yeah.
And but I mean, I played sports. Used to play bridge, and you can have a really good hand and screw it up. Just the fact that you have a hand and you should win it doesn't mean that you do. You could. A lot of times you fumble, you throw the ball away. So, but if we play it pretty down the middle here, I think we're going to win this thing.
I mean, they've turned it basically a referendum on healthcare. Do you think that was a smart move?
Yeah, too. But understand, for 9 months, and I think to some ways, the Democrats have no power. The Republicans are getting everything they want. They're running roughshod at everything. The Democratic Party is pathetic. It's weak. It's old. It's urban. It's constipated. It's confused. And then the next day they said, "Oh no, but they were responsible for the whole government shutting down." Well, the voters are going to look at that and say, "Well, if they can't do anything, how can they shut the government down?" I mean, the Democrats are almost a beneficiary of the negative observations that have been made about them since the election of last year.
It's like you can't punch down for so long, right? They're not even really like a worthy opponent at this point.
Well, yeah, and people will say, well, how could they be at fault when they don't have any power? If we've been told by the Republicans, we've been told by the press that the Republicans have all the power, that they're getting everything they want, and then one day we wake up and we find out, well, no, they didn't have all the power. Actually, the Democrats had all the power. Now you have to blame them. Well, that's what do you call it? Jumping the shark or something like that. You're just going too far.
But if you look on any of the government websites, you will think that the radical liberal Democrats are causing the shutdown.
Yeah, the last person to look at a government website, raise your right hand.
Well, maybe it's on HUD, the Housing and Urban Development one, so maybe you have to go to that. I don't know.
Maybe. Look, they're going to do everything they can, but every number that I've seen on this, and common sense tells you people are going to hold them more responsible than the Democrats by more than a little bit. It's just not the leap you're asking people to make is from going from no power to power to in government as we know it. It doesn't add up.
Right. Well, Trump got to avoid releasing another disastrous jobs report. So I guess the shutdown had some utility.
I wonder what
for him.
that would have been. Has anybody? What's the speculation of what the last Friday's report would have been?
It's supposed to not be great. I don't know the actual numbers, but can imagine it's a good one.
That's why he's doing all this Chicago, Portland, this stuff. He thinks that's going to force people not to focus on economic issues or cost of living. I got news for him, it's not a word, but that's what he thinks.
Do you think this will have any impact on the midterms, the shutdown? Or even on the special elections coming up in Virginia and New Jersey?
I mean, the Virginia thing is, this is not something abstract to people, particularly people live in Northern Virginia, but to some extent live in Hampton Roads, Tidewater, a lot of places, it's real. I think the most visited national park in the country is Shenandoah Skyline Drive.
Gorgeous.
It's not far from where I am right now. Look, we were cruising for a big win in Virginia. I think the Democrats still are, but when you're in that kind of position, you just want to get to election day and get it over with.
Right. I just had Jeff Rowe, you know him, the Republican mega consultant, on my show yesterday. Yeah. And he was saying that he thinks that they have a shot in Virginia, namely because I think that was he the attorney general? Yeah, that's running with Spanberger has so much scandal involved with him that he was planning to shoot their majority leader. He had some text messages revealing that he wanted to actually murder him. I mean, what do you think? Does that have any impact?
So it's October, when this came, I guess it was October 2nd.
Yeah.
Election is in November. I got standing bets with Piers Morgan, Jesse Waters. I'd be glad to put him down for 1,000. if he
Mm.
wants to. They're not going to win this, and they're not going to come close. But let them keep saying that.
Yeah.
Okay? Please talk about how you have a chance. And we'll see what happens election night.
You're so chipper today, James. I got you at a good time.
Well, I mean, I'm chipper because I can see things are starting to line up in a little bit of a different direction also.
Oh,
Yeah, I think that we'll have a good night in Virginia.
okay.
And
So that's good to know. Is the House really in play? Do you think Democrats have a chance?
they're better. If we don't win the House in 2026, it's going to be not very good news for the whole party. I mean, people are going to say, "What?" I mean, historically, polling wise, everything in the world tells you that we should win in 2026. Maybe by a lot. I mean, if you just look at elections that have happened since the November catastrophe, we're outperforming by 15 points everywhere. Everywhere. Iowa, Florida, Georgia, I think even one in Alabama. You just can't. Now, I guess it could change, and it's a little bit of a special. It's a little bit of a different electorate, blah blah blah. But we haven't lost.
Yeah.
We're winning everything, and not close, not at all close. It's a kind of underreported story that's going on out there. That they're just not winning anything.
Yeah. What do you think about all these redistricting wars right now? Like, if, say, somehow California Republicans win this, and they're able to maintain the seats that they have, plus Texas. I mean, are you concerned about that?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be? And of course, I had Leon Panetta on our podcast, and Leon was the most moderate. Let's try to sit down and work things out. He said he didn't have any choice. He's going to vote for the redistricting referendum in California because that's all you got. No one thinks this is a particularly good idea. I mean, no one wants to be the first person to use mustard gas. But if the other side uses it, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, they have. The other thing is, I'm not sure. You should get some good quant zone like that really know Texas. I'm not sure that this is not going to backfire on them in Texas.
Really?
Really,
Yeah.
know a lot of other people. A lot of these districts, I'm told, I'm not a quant, will base a lot of the 2024 result where Trump did abnormally well among Hispanics. That's already reversed itself in pretty dramatic fashion, just like the youth vote. I mean, Della Volpe basically thinks the floor is falling out from under Trump among the under 35s.
James, sorry to go back, but you mentioned a catastrophe. What catastrophe were you talking about that you think has flipped the switch? The entire
catastrophe. I'm sorry. What was the context I used it in?
Earlier, you said that there was a catastrophe that has flipped the switch, like a moment that has changed the tides for Democrats. What were you talking about?
I mean, the image of the party is the low. It's true. It's the lowest of any political party in the history of Poland.
Mm.
And I think that there was a inflection point where Democrats could have just gotten so despondent that it would have caused real damage. For now, I think that crisis has passed.
Oh,
I'm not saying it can't come back, but they seem to be pretty unified. They seem to have formulated a better argument, and they seem to be winning this fight right now, which we haven't won anything, a political fight other than the often mentioned elections I talk about. But anything that they put up is going to change the attitude of Democrats toward their own party. I think Virginia is going to go a long way because they're not ready for it. They said, "Oh my God, we won something."
yeah.
The reason that people don't like the Democratic Party is the reason I don't like it, because it lost. People don't like it when their party loses. They belong to a political party for a single reason, and that is to win the election. We're finally starting to realize that our purpose is not to stimulate debate, not to form the future, not to do anything. It's to win the next election that's coming up. That's the most important thing.
That's the rocket fuel for the next one.
That's it.
And also delivering on what you ran on, I would think. Uh,
How can you deliver until you have power?
that's true.
You can't
Um,
deliver anything. But
but if you don't deliver when you have power, I mean, that's a pretty surefire way not to get reelected, I would think.
or when 80% of the country or 76% of the country thinks you're too old and want something different, you resolutely refuse to give them anything else. And then when you finally do, you say you can't have anything different.
Yeah.
And by the way, we lose the election by 1.6 points. We actually pick up a House seat. We actually carry Senate seats in Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, and Michigan that we lost the presidential popular vote. And I think that one of the things that Democrats have going for us is we had a terrible election, but it's been reported as a complete and total collapse. The party no longer exists. That's just not true. It doesn't exist in certain parts of the country, and that was a self-inflicted, mostly self-inflicted wound on ourselves by thinking that we was a certain kind of voter that we wanted and not another kind, which is pretty stupid.
But I think what the party might be missing right now, when you see the Republicans who have this cult of personality, and you see Democrats who have this very disparate coalition, which you've called a cumbersome coalition, is that you don't really have, a unifying person behind it. You don't have an inspiring candidate, as you've said, since 2012. I mean, is there anyone out there that you think could be that?
About 5 or 6 people.
Really?
One of the things that I think that actually somewhat inures to Democrats' benefit is people think that we're inarticulate, that we're urban, that we're old.
Yeah.
And when they see the potential that we have in this party right now, look, the Republican that's running for governor of New Jersey is trying to run is Josh Shapiro. When the guy from the other party in a neighboring state is trying to be you're a pretty good politician.
Yeah, he's a talented politician.
And there's other. Josh is clearly not the only one. And
who are the others to you? Who are the others?
I know everybody wants names, and if I give names and somebody says you forgot them, but you know, and we all know, any of these governors that are out there, you got senators like Warnock or Gallego, some of Alicia Slotkin, probably one cycle away from running, as talented as anybody you can imagine. Look at Cross the Gutters, and when people see, oh my God, but there's a guy from Kentucky. I didn't know if anybody, it was a Democrat that even lived in Kentucky, much less one that can string a sentence together.
This year, yeah.
And they'll see that again and again and again, because we now suffer from we don't suffer from it. We're going to be advantaged by low expectations. Because we have the public has been told that there's no talent in the party, there's no everything, it's past, it's this and that. Then, as I pointed out earlier this year in the Times, now's not the time for these divisions. Come 2028, every potential faction in a Democratic Party will run a candidate. One person will win, and I'm pretty sure I know what side the equation, whoever that person is going to come from. And hopefully these progressive lefties will quit talking about, only if we ever gave the country a true progressive, they would be activated and come out of the woodwork to vote for us, which is, of course, the most cockamamie thing I've ever heard in my life. But we're gonna settle that in 2028, because every potential wing of the party will probably have a candidate running, and the Democratic voters are going to sort it out. I think they're going to sort it out pretty well.
So I'm guessing you think that the center left will win.
I do. It never has not won.
What was that?
It never has not won. Maybe 72, but I don't even know if even McGovern was the most liberal person in 72. They certainly got waxed in 2020. I mean, they had every left person you can think about in there, and Biden ran away with it.
But there was sort of like a come together of.
In 2016, he didn't do that well. The Democratic Party is not, the rank and file of the Democratic Party does not align with cultural NPR progressivism. It just doesn't.
What do you make of Zohran Mamdani and his rise?
Look, I got first of all, it is a big tent party. Secondly, he's actually running on what he's talking about is what voters are talking about. He's talking about the cost of living. Now, all of the other Palestine and his other stuff, that's not what he's running on. That's not what he's talking about. And look, guy's 32, 33 years old. He said stupid things in his 20s. Well, everybody says stupid shit in their 20s, okay?
Yeah.
And there will be a Mamdani kind of candidate running for president in 2028. And those people that think that that's the ascendant wing of the party will have a chance to prove it. I don't think they're going to be able to do it, but they're certainly able to try.
I do, I talk to a lot of Republicans and they're terrified of Gavin Newsom. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know. First of all, whenever the Republicans say they're terrified of somebody, that generally means that's the guy they want to run against. Just so you know.
I know. But he keeps coming up. They're like JD. They're polling JD versus Gavin. You know what I'm saying? Like there's.
I mean, Newsom is an effective politician, and he's taken opportunities as they come, and he's setting himself out as the kind of face of the response to Trump. A lot of Democrats like that, to be honest with you, and he's pretty good at it. But when you run for president, it's going to take a little bit more than that. But he's very good, and he has foil because Trump is always trying to send the National Guard in to do something in California. And so Pritzker's had a little bit of the same opportunities. A lot of these guys don't have that opportunity. But it's good, but I don't know if its staying power is going to matter that much over a long period of time.
Yeah, it's not actually a good thing to burn too bright early on, right? You got to last for 3 more years. He's not going to be in office. His governorship and like the state of California will be examined, obviously. So
he's a good communicator, but my point here is there's so many. If you're not really good, you're going to get run over. All right. And it's like anything else. When the competition is good, you play up. It makes everybody play better. And so any of these people thinking about running for president, my message is, please do. Oh, it's going to be unruly. We're going to have a lot of people. I don't care.
Yeah.
I have to, but show that this party has really articulate people who really know how to frame a message, who know how to pivot, who know how to attack, who are clever and good on their feet. And I think we have a lot of these kind of people, and I think people are going to be startled when they see them because they've been told that they don't exist.
So Republicans have pulled JD against Gavin, and Gavin does win against JD. And do you think and when I talk to Republicans, they think that JD will be the inevitable candidate. What do you think?
Maybe they're telling the truth, but that would be one of the rare times they are. But he does look like he's putting himself in position to be able. But Trump has said some kind of tepid things.
Right.
I mean, it's not J.D. Vance's party. I mean, it's Trump's.
That's
and
true.
Who knows what he's going to do? If you ask me, my own opinion, he's slipping by the day. And some of the stuff that he's saying now, who knows what he's going to say going forward, but about J.D. Vance or anybody else. I mean, I think it's very early, and I think a poll of Gavin Newsom, J.D. Vance poll it's pretty close to useless right now.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, but interesting anyway, nonetheless. So when you talk about finding a center or left candidate, obviously you have to think about the primary calendar. Democrats now have control over that since they showed in the last election that they could change it. What do you think the primary calendar should be?
The primary calendar should be what it always is. The single most important voting constituency in nominating a Democratic presidential candidate was and is and should forever shall be Southern blacks. It doesn't make a shit what happens in New Hampshire, or you go here, or you go there, or something like that. It all happens when it starts in South Carolina and you have these Southern primaries. If you can't move the needle with Southern blacks, you cannot be the Democratic nominee. So ask yourself that there are two things when you evaluate a potential Democratic presidential candidate. One, can you raise a lot of money early? Governors of big states clearly in a position to do that. Two, do you have an entry point with Southern blacks? Will they pay attention to what you say? If you show up at a Sunday church service or you show up at a fish fry, will they come and let you make your pitch? If you remember in 2020 in South Carolina, Clyburn endorses Biden at the Thursday before.
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah, it was over in one flick. Biden didn't even have a headquarters. All right, they didn't even have a campaign.
Clyburn also endorsed Kamala, though, and was very much a part of that.
Yeah, the whole 2024 thing was one of the great tragedies I've ever seen in American politics.
Yeah.
And now we're treated to, everybody's writing a book saying, well, I knew he shouldn't have run. I wish somebody would have said something. Well, guess what? People were saying something, you son of a bitch, but you didn't say anything.
You were saying something. I was writing about it.
Yeah, I know. But there were other people. And it was a real, in spite of all of that, we lose by 1.6. And we don't want that thing going away if there would have been an open process. And they were sitting there bragging about, well, we shut down that open convention crap right away, now didn't we? Yeah, you also shut down winning the election right away, now didn't you?
Yeah,
and I mean, that was a calculated decision they made, that they would, anybody that mentioned having an open convention or having a process going into Chicago was going to get crushed immediately. And they got what they wanted, and we lost the election. And they were bragging up.
I know, it's insanity. Which brings me to Kamala Harris's book. What do you make of it?
Well, first of all, every losing presidential candidate, writes a book, and they have a perfect right to. The one thing that did surprise me, I think the thing is selling really well.
Mm.
That's
because it's kind of bitchy. I mean, let's be honest.
It is. And she kind of, there's a little score settling in there. I frankly don't mind score settling, but you did shut down, and your people intentionally shut down the process to have any kind of a contested thing going to Chicago. So you got what you wanted. And how many people? So you were the DA of San Francisco. You were the Attorney General of California. You were the United States Senator from California. You were the Vice President of the United States. You were the unopposed nominee of your party for the Presidency of the United States. I don't feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
By any stretch of imagination, you've had a pretty successful career in politics. All right, you don't really have a lot to complain about.
Do you get the sense from that book that that's her setting the stage to run again?
I read a review, and the guy's really smart, and I don't know him. His name is like Lozada or something. He was
Carlos Lozada, really smart guy.
He said usually they write a book and they settle in scores, or they write a book and they're trying to keep the door open for the future. And he said this book struck him as trying to accomplish both. And I read about the book. I didn't read it, but I thought the guy had a really smart take. I don't know him. I don't think I've ever met him, but I thought it was a pretty smart. She wanted to settle a few scores. She wanted to, in case. I don't think, I'll say this very clearly, I don't think the Democrats have anything to do with anybody that had anything to do with 2024.
Yeah.
I think that's just a bad memory in people's minds.
For me, I remember Gavin Newsom going out after the debate and being like, what you saw was totally fine. Look away. It was great. And I'll never forget that. All the Democrats who sort of covered for Biden. I
famously said I thought she would win. And I'll tell you what, because I thought the polling, as most people did, you couldn't discern. It was that close going into the final week of the election. And she had more volunteers. People called me saying, man, in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, there's parish people lined up, more storefront headquarters, more canvases, more phones, more everything. And it didn't do any good. Because there's nothing in politics can ever count more than a reason. That's the first thing I try to teach people. Yard signs don't win elections. All right. Phone banks don't win elections. Canvases don't win elections. Reasons win elections. And if you're not willing to have a reason, or your reason is not good, you cannot overcome that with superior organization. It can't be done. And I'm just, and I, who should have known better, thought, well, with everything being equal, it's got to be worth a 3/4 of a point. It wasn't.
Yeah. There was a lot of momentum going into Trump's into the election. You know, Trump had the assassination. There are a number of things. I do want to go back to the midterms for just 1 second, because there was one thing that Republicans have brought up to me a number of times, and this idea about Charlie Kirk's murder and how it will motivate the Republican base. And as we know, midterm elections are base elections. It's something that neither party has really experienced in a really long time. Roe compared it to like MLK for them. And, you know, do you think this phenomenon has just like woken up their base in a way that they've never seen before? And this will get midterm voters that maybe aren't happy with Trump, but just feel angry at the left off the couch? Are you worried about that at all?
I'll try to be polite. I'm skeptical of that argument.
Okay.
That thousands of people in November or early vote are going to be motivated by the tragic murder of a guy. I'm skeptical. But look, anything that comes up, they cling to it, because that's what you do when you lose in every election around the country about 15 points. I mean, these guys can read the election returns just like I do. All right, I'm not the only person that follows these special elections. They know it, they read it, they know what else says. Well, it's going to be the shutdown is going to save us, or the Charlie Kirk's murder is going to save us, so this is going to save us. So the guy in Virginia, the AG candidate in Virginia, is going to save us. And I mean, they're looking for apricot pits out there to cure themselves. And generally, this stuff is not what's going to save you, because you promise people. Remember, but I would get costs down from day one. Okay. Well, it's past day one. Yeah. And that's what you're living with. And you can try everything else, and people see the dysfunction. They don't like it. They're really, you know, his approval is now like 40. I don't know how much lower you can go.
It's 43, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
Better polls are less. They throw in Trafalgar and that kind of stuff. But when I look at the better polls, it's actually closer to 40.
What do you think the message, though, should be going into the midterms, like the unifying message across the board?
Repeal the big bad bill. They've made all the wrong choices. They made the wrong choices on the veterans. They made the wrong choices on health care. They made the wrong choices on rural health care. They made the wrong choices on about everything on taxation. They actually cut more taxes for rich people at the expense of everyday working people. We got to unify and reverse this right now. It's going to be about Trump. When people go to vote, there's no reason that they're going to give, or we're going to give, that's going to overcome the idea. Do I like what I see going on with total Republican control in Washington? And to me, the answer is going to be a resounding no. That's what it's going to be. It is. But the Democrats don't have a message, James. Well, until you get a presidential candidate, it's kind of hard to have a message, because the Democratic voters have to say, and then you're going to do this, and then lose in that, and then okay, good. Well, then why are we winning elections? I mean, it's the same, whiny crap I've been hearing forever. And you're not going to have the best message we have is we're against what they have done. We want to correct these ills. We want to, return to the real kind of values of the country. And we are hurting people who are trying to make it at the expense of people who already have it made. The very people who government already works for is they're doing more for them and less for you.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I didn't hear you talking about the affordability crisis. I would think that would be that would be a very salient issue for Democrats right now.
Huge. He said from day one, I would run the tape. On day one, I'm going to get costs down.
Right.
And he actually says he's done it, which is the best.
I was thinking of Bidenomics.
If you don't see the problem, how can you fix it?
Right.
I mean,
he literally he tweeted something out crazy today, like everything's great, prices are down. It's like, right. Wow, have you learned nothing?
No, he really thinks that. What I think you should talk to your Republican friends, they don't tell him. They don't tell him. They just tell him everything's fine. It's all working, sir. And he doesn't, so he just blurts out what he's told. Again, he had no idea what that bill that passed did to healthcare. You could talk to Senator Schumer, talk to Hakeem, to Leader Jeffries, and they'll tell you he had no idea what's in there. They don't tell him anything.
Well, he's not interested in policy. He's never going to read the bill.
I know that, but the public is interested. If a hospital closes, they get interested in it. Okay, yeah, I know. But the problem is not only does he not read the bill, they lie to him about what's in it because they just want to humor him. And the idea is just get in the office and get out without getting fired or screamed at. And so they tell the king whatever he wants to hear. No, we won, sir. We won that battle. It's all fine.
Yeah. Do you think the Epstein story will stick and motivate people to go out, or is it just sort of something that only a certain number of Democrats care about?
I think it'll stick. I think it'll motivate people to come out. All right. Yes. And to the extent that the Epstein story is a story of power. Remember, the public looks at this and says, this is what I always thought. Here are these powerful people taking advantage of these young women, getting a sweetheart deal where they don't even go to jail, if you will. They have all of this cover up and Prince Andrew and this and that. This is what, if the story is told the correct way, it's more than because to people, sexual scandals. I remember when the Clinton stuff going on. People, oh my God, can you believe it? What are we going to tell the children? Well, shit, just tell them what happened. You think they don't know about it? Children, oh my God. People having sex, the children, we can't tell them. Well, they know. They've heard of it. Trust me.
That was an abuse of power story as well.
The story is told from the vantage point of a typical power story. Then that's what people will perk up and have some lasting effect.
Yes, absolutely. And it doesn't die today. Pam Bondi will testify.
Because that narrative doesn't die. And of course, the narrative you and I know is absolutely true. Nobody but a powerful, rich, connected guy could have remotely gotten away with this. And he got away with it for a long, long time.
Decades.
Yes. This is not a sex story. This is a power story.
I've always said that. I also think it's a class story. And that's why it unifies the uniparty in a way, because that's what captivated the MAGA base.
Now you're coming. Now you got it.
And that's what captivates the Democratic base now. And I think anyone can see that this is a story of young girls coming from the other side of the Palm Beach Intercoastal and men getting away with power.
Yes, it's the west side of the canal and the east side and the west. But understand this power dynamic plays out in everyday life. We think it plays out in Hollywood, or it plays out in Washington, or Palm Beach, or Palm Springs. It actually plays out at the Dollar General in, Jonesboro, Arkansas.
It's just the sense of injustice.
The guy that runs the stock shelf and the young female that stocks the shelf. Well, if you want to, that plays out all the time in every office and every place that you have that. powerful people are always, and particularly powerful men, always looking for a way to gain an edge on less powerful females. That's not a thing that Washington thought up on its own.
Yeah, no, you're right. I do think, I think the crime though is just so horrific. The fact that it's pedophilia, it makes it.
Oh, and when these people come back and they talk about their lives, and I don't think, I know they're not, in the effect that this has had on them. I'm not I'm an older male, but I have a pretty good idea and read about the repeat. I was a cradle Catholic, an altar boy. I think I was never molested. I don't know, but okay, maybe something was wrong with me. But thank God, I'm happy I never was.
Right.
But yeah, the effects of this is pretty well documented. It ruins these people's lives forever. And what they have taken away from these women, they're not even young women anymore.
No, they're my age. A little older. Yeah.
Women committed suicide.
A lot of them have. Virginia Giuffre has.
Those stories have got to be. It's got to be told as what is. I'm serious here. It's more. A sex story is boring. A power story is confirming.
I agree. I don't like to. When I report on this, since I know it really well, I've done a number of podcasts. I've spent a lot of time with Virginia and others. Like, I don't like the salacious details. I think it's a story about justice, a perversion of justice, and
So what's the next? So if you covering this, what? So Johnson doesn't want to swear in the woman.
Is that incredible?
God damn,
mind blowing.
You're more guilty than you are. Why don't you just sit there with the smoking gun?
I know. They won't even confirm this woman so they can vote on the bill to command the DOJ to release the files, even though the DOJ will never release the files. Let's be honest. Trump will veto it. It's next level.
Court order them to?
What was that? I'm sorry.
In a court order the DOJ, is there any legal remedy to make them release the files?
I don't know, because they are they are, the highest level of court. I guess maybe the Supreme Court. I don't know.
I don't know, but obviously a public thirst for this information, to put it mildly.
Yeah.
All right. What's the reason? And if the Democrats, which is highly likely, get the House back, I actually think it's more chance than most people do to get the Senate back. But we can talk about that another day.
Really?
They subpoena the DOJ file. Yeah. So you'd have to have a compelling reason to not comply with the subpoena.
People don't respond to subpoenas every day. Look at the people that they've subpoenaed for their House Oversight Commission. The president, Bill Clinton, who you worked with, the former Secretary of State, Hillary, they're not showing up. Trump was subpoenaed for the January 6th committee. He doesn't show up. I don't know. I call me a skeptic, but I don't think the DOJ is going to hand over the files.
Probably not, but you can make them. If they don't, make them pay for it. Why won't you? It's another example of power being protected. The Department of Justice is not there to protect you. It's not there to protect these women. It's not there to protect victims of sexual molestation. It's there to protect power and remind people of that. And they will believe it. That's an easy sell. That's the easiest sell in the world. So if they want to keep it, make them pay for it. Don't say, well, they're not going to turn it over, so forget about it. Let's move to the next thing. No, not the right answer.
Yeah. Let's talk about David Hogg, because that's what kind of reconnected us. We had our debate, actually, when I launched the show with you and David, and you were pretty annoyed with him because he started this super PAC, Leaders We Deserve, and he launched it alongside of being the DNC vice chair. And in his email out to DNC members, he was like, also support my super PAC. And he vowed to take on incumbents as a member of the party to try to get rid of a culture of seniority. This was obviously extremely controversial at the time. I do think some of his points have merit, that there are people who are sitting in Congress that probably need to retire. They've been there forever. They're going to die in their seats. And, we don't have term limits. A lot of people have many thoughts on this, some of which I agree with. But it seems that his organization has not really done that much. I mean, they just endorsed state candidate. So they just endorsed Congressman Donovan McKinney. He's a state rep to run against Shri Thanader. Sorry if I said her name wrong. And she's 70 in a largely Democratic Michigan district. He gave $300,000 to Zohran Mamdani. And, he gave some money to Deja Fox, who lost by 40 points, I think. Let me make sure I got that right. Yeah, he gave $150,000 to 25-year-old progressive influencer Deja Fox, who lost by nearly 40 points with just 22% of the vote. They invested another $5,000 into Irene Shin's campaign for Congress in Virginia. She lost by 45 points. And then you find out that they have been spending a ton of money on digital ads, like 1.1 million. They spent 2.5 million on consultants. They have, spent $5,000 on ClassPass, the fitness class subscription service, which a lot of people might be like, if donors knew that the people who are working for them are, using the money to go to the gym, I don't know how they would feel about that. Wondering, what do you think about all of this and how this is all panned out? Because I know after our show, you gave him, and the DNC was attacking him. They tried to, obviously kick him out with some weird legality about the gender of the election, of the gender, makeup of the DNC election. I mean, what do you think of what he's done with this, with his organization?
Let's unpack and get my critique exactly right.
Yeah.
Because you cannot be an official of the Democratic Party and run against the people that you are supposed to represent and protect.
Right.
If you think that then don't be a Democratic Party official. I thought the guy would say, well, okay, I'll resign and do this, or if I'm going to stay as the vice chair of the DNC, I'm not going to oppose other Democrats. I said to myself, well, he's a young guy. He's kind of passionate. He's had, unfortunate things happen in his life. I think the guy's just a fool. I think at the end of the day, and they all have this premise. So he's going to be different. He's not going to go, I'm not going to be part of the consultant class. So that's right. That expression. Okay.
We've heard that one before. We've all heard that before.
The establishment. Yeah, the establishment in Carville, Louisiana is the center of establishment politics. But forget that for a moment. They actually believe that if they did all of that they were these unmotivated people that at the sound of the true trumpet of progressivism would rise up and lose by 35 instead of 40. Of course, they were wrong. They lost by 40. Right? The whole premise is wrong. And so then he's against the consultant class, but he's for the consultant class that he hires. All right. I mean, actually, the guy couldn't be, now he's young, so he has
25, I think. Yeah.
So whatever, he can self-correct here. But this guy has made one bad mistake after another. I mean, he's not had a good 2025, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, he's out of the DNC. They got him out through a technicality, but this is not a great run for having just started.
No, and anybody can change. Like I say, who in their 20s doesn't make a fool of themselves? Well, kind of everybody. So I have a pretty wide strike zone, but he's making a pretty big fool of himself. I got to say that.
I see it as a precursor to run for election.
Well, where's he going to run and what's he going to win?
I mean, maybe
he can go running, I don't know, somewhere. I have no idea. Where's he going? His candidates are not
Parkland, yeah.
I mean, you got to understand, these people are not popular in the Democratic Party, and they don't understand that. They actually think that they're popular. David Hogg thinks he's popular among Virginia Democrats. He is no such thing. And if you tell them it doesn't do any good, they all know, James. You don't understand. There's all kinds of people that are just out there and they're just waiting.
Well, that's Parkland, Florida. Actually, let me look that up. If Parkland, Florida, who
Went
represents
to
it?
at the high school that had that terrible
Yeah,
Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. He has a story. He's
Jared Moskowitz represents Parkland.
okay. He's not going to. Why? What's his reason
Democrat.
as he went through his record? And people are giving him money. I have no idea. Why don't they just throw the money away?
Yeah.
Is he giving him money to lose by 40 points and to hire his friends? Or
Yeah.
to have, workout benefits at the office?
Yeah.
I've worked in politics for a long time. We never had gym memberships. You're supposed to be at the gym. You're supposed to be working.
One last question. I do see someone that people are starting to talk about, young female on the Republican side. Erica Kirk. What did you think of her at the ceremony?
I mean, she clearly has some savvy about it. I mean, I don't.
She's taking over Turning Points.
I think that there's Turning Point is going to get a lot of attention here going forward. That's what I think. I think there's and let's see. Let's see how it develops. How much money they raise. Which I always follow the money. If it's Turning Point or if it's David Hogg or if it's anybody else, it's always a good idea to see where the money's coming from and where the money's going. It's always, to me, the most fruitful pursuit in all of political journalism.
Right. I remember. So they had a Turning Point's inauguration ball this past year at this major ballroom, I think the Mandarin Oriental. First time I've seen anything like that. Turning Point, since I've been covering him for many years, since all the CPAC visits, has always been a scrappy sort of organization that a lot of people in town just thought had a weak ground game and were just kind of a mess. But, because a lot of people credit him with delivering the election for Trump and getting the young people out, he had his ball and he's got, big donors, and he basically made it a more reputable organization in a lot of ways.
I have had people that would not be sympathetic to Charlie Kirk at all tell me that he was actually a very good political organizer in getting people out. That most of these people are, Laura Luma. Okay, just good.
You're friends with Laura? You didn't tell me that.
But I've had people tell me on the Democratic side say, "Look, the guy was very good. They're not Turning Point, but he was pretty good at organizing people. Maybe so. I don't know that. You cover him. You would know better than me."
He had a mixed reputation. It was a little messy.
Okay. But I think that the money will be followed in all these cases. And I think when it comes out, it's going to be a lot was spent on very few. That's what I think this thing is going to end up going. But let's wait and see. I'm not a financial investigative journalist by any stretch of the imagination, but I understand there's some there's some interest in this topic.
The stories about how the organizers were sort of treated was sort of interesting. They were like stuffed into the back of vans and then like living on mattresses on the ground. It was just kind of messy during this last election. And it's unclear if he should take credit.
And how much of it actually gets to the organizer on the ground. Because everybody, and we're going to find out that a lot of people had that cut before it actually. The political dollar comes in. There are a lot of hands on that before.
James knows all of the secrets of the swamp. So
the swamp is a place of many secrets and it's generally at the bottom of the swamp. There's one big giant pile of cash.
Well said. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I always enjoy having you. You are just.
I love doing your show. You're one of my favorite people, and you're really scrappy, and I like that.
Oh, thanks, James.
crappy journalist, you kind of made your own weather. I love that.
Oh, that means a lot to me. Oh, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Okay, well, good luck to you there. Good
Thanks
luck.
so much. Thank you again for joining the Tara Palmeri Show. If you like this show, please subscribe, rate it, share it with all of your friends. If you like my journalism, go to tarapalmeri.com and sign up for my newsletter, The Red Letter, where you can get my exclusive reporting and analysis straight to your inbox. And it's a way to support my independent journalism. I want to thank my team, my producer, Eric Abinate, my researcher, Abby Baker, Adam Stewart, who does my thumbnails, and Dan Rosen, who is helping me with my business strategy as the Red Letter community grows. Thank you all for all of your support, and I will see you again this week.